Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Good evening to all in the chat box. My name is not Craig, and with me tonight is in the top right-hand corner, it's Crooner Chris. How you doing, Chris?
Crooner Chris. I love it. I'm really good. Can I show you my my new sapling? Just like Mikel Arteta is growing his young team,
Yeah.
I've got myself a young sapling. I'm going to call him Bakayo.
Is it a
I'm
spider
going to watch
plant?
him grow. I don't know what it is, but I got it today from my
Dead
team.
within a week. Anyway, you all right?
Yeah, good, mate. I'm good. Feeling top of the world, Ma.
Pint of red wine there, lovely. You're going to need it.
Yep.
In bottom right-hand corner, it's PG who does the Always Arsenal show, and everyone knows who you are. How are you doing, Treacle?
Oh, I'm really good. It's really nice to be on a show where I'm not doing anything, just chatting football with the boys and not hosting, not doing any of that. So I'd like to thank Craig for inviting me on. Sad he's not here, but pleased you're hosting, Danny.
That's okay. And last but definitely not least is the man who, due to popular demand, has changed his name to Cookie. It's James. How you doing, James? Cookie James.
Oh, mate. Now you mention that, I wish I'd done it in the lower thirds. I've completely forgot about that. No, it's good to be back. It's good to see the Cookie Revolution coming back. So yeah, looking forward to this one, mate. Very much.
Just don't turn into the Cookie Monster, because we don't need any tantrums on this show. Right, where's Craig? You're all asking. He's in my kitchen. He's locked away. There's a big biscuit tin. He went to get a biscuit. I shoved him in and put the lid down and put him in the cupboard. No, he's had a very long, hard day at work, and he said, "Could somebody else take over hosting?" Everybody else said no, so it's really down to me to do it. So here we go. But the first thing we're going to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the how we're feeling about the Arsenal at the moment. We start off with you, Chris. Are you a happy bunny?
I'm feeling really good. I am feeling over the moon, actually, and I get really, really nervous about football matches all the time. I know I don't want to jump ahead to tomorrow night, but I actually don't feel nervous about it because I feel like it's a free hit. So I'm actually just going to go into tomorrow's game. I'm going to enjoy it until we get to 8:15, and then I will be swearing. I will be calling whatever ref that we've got, all the names under the sun, and I will be absolutely desperate for us to finally get one over Liverpool when we're all in the ground, because the only time that we've beaten them in like the last 18 has been, unfortunately, during that COVID era in which no fans could be there. But the game at the weekend last weekend, very happy, had a great time, thoroughly enjoyed myself, saw a couple of good people I haven't seen for a while. My mate Giles Mander, obviously, and Cookie, you know him, Danny, you know him. Saw Giles for the first time in ages. So, yeah, I'm feeling fine.
Are you going to be at the Amanda as well? The game as well, Amanda?
Oh, yeah. God, I won't miss tomorrow night.
How excited are you about the Arsenal at the moment and with everything? It's a great time to be a Gooner, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was on, I'm not like, what's it called? I can't even think of the word. Sorry, it's been a long day at work. But I was on Radio Merseyside about half an hour ago with their listeners talking about us tomorrow night. And they're a little bit concerned. They know we're on a good run. But I did say to them that every Gooner on this planet would take a draw right now. But it is our game in hand of one of them. If we lose, not the end of the world, but we want to keep the momentum going. And then we've got Villa Saturday. But very excited about tomorrow night. I'm a bit like Chris. I was buzzing, weirdly, the minute I left the Emirates on Sunday. I'm not normally like that. It normally takes me a couple of days and then I'll get into it. But I'm already up for it. You know, we've just got to turn up, Danny. We have just got to turn up.
At any point in the interview when you're on Radio Bin Differs, did you go, hey, calm down.
Don't start and don't be nasty. No, but the funny thing was, Dan.
You did, didn't you?
No, I would never do that.
I would.
But the funny thing is, Dan, is that they asked me for my favourite ever goal. I said, you really shouldn't have asked me that. I said, because I'm not even lying when I say it. So, yeah, they all knew that my favourite goal ever as an Arsenal fan was Mickey Thomas.
Oh, what a day that was. Cookie, you weren't even born back then.
No.
Were you 96. So you were -7 at the time. Were you at the game at the weekend?
I was indeed. Yeah. It was. It's just the football is so good. I mean, the results are one thing, but we've got the football to go with it now, and that's something that I feel we've had it in patches at points this season, but it just seems to really ebb and flow in the team at the minute. And like Amanda said, coming straight out of that game, already thinking about Wednesday, it's going to be tough, but I've got a a really renewed belief in this team. It's certainly a game. I don't want to look at it as a free hit, because I genuinely think if we play like we did against City, then there's every opportunity that we can get a win in this one.
Yeah, because they saw when we played them in the League Cup semi-final, we were down to 10 men, Chris. They saw what we could do defensively. And although Chambers may have gone and he's gone off to Villa and he's doing wonders there, he's the new Maldini, the Brummy Maldini, I think they're calling him. They have seen that we have got a hell of a lot of players. And in some ways, we're quite similar to the style of football that they play. We may not be as dominating at the back with Van Dijk and Alisson, but we're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are a very good team. I think confidence is massive in football. Confidence and momentum are massive. And did we have confidence in momentum when we played them at the Emirates? I'm not sure we did. I don't think we had the confidence in the collective of 11 players that we could put out on the pitch. I mean, if you think that, Tomiyasu was missing, and he will be missing by the sounds of it tomorrow night, but Partey, not fresh. And when he did come on, he obviously got sent off. You had Granit Xhaka not available. And I think those two, what we're all seeing when we look on our social media feeds at the moment, the importance of Partey and Xhaka in the middle of that midfield can't be underestimated, because they have got a phenomenal record when playing together. And once again, we saw it from the weekend, just a difference the two of them make when they're both in the side.
Would anybody bring Tomiyasu back for this game? Would you save him for the Villa game if he was fit?
Is he fit?
I don't know what's wrong with him.
He had a calf strain a few weeks ago, and then he got fit, and then he strained the other calf. Maybe he's trying to get fit too quickly. But what would you think, Amanda? Would you bring him back if he was ready, or would you be confident with Suarez? Or there was rumours that he might even go 3 at the back against them.
If he does do 4 at the back and Suarez plays, I'll be all right with that. Put Tomiyasu on the bench. We need to get him fit. We don't want this to happen again. But to be fair to Suarez, he hasn't done too badly. So I don't want to ruin Tomiyasu, but I do miss him on the pitch. I really do.
He is a man mountain. He's a very, very large man, because he's Japanese, and Japanese people don't tend to be 6 foot something like he is. And we've got a beast of a player there. Cookie, how do you feel about the Tomiyasu situation in the game coming up? Would Liverpool? Would you be worried if you were a Liverpool fan? Because we are a team on a magnificent run of form at the moment. I think it's 5 straight wins, and it's 9 wins out of 11. We drew with Burnley and we lost to Man City because we had a man sent off.
I think just on the first point with Tomiyasu, I wouldn't be looking to rush him back anytime soon, because, although this game is important, and like I said earlier, we've got a real opportunity to win it, for the sake of this game in isolation, I don't think there's any point rushing Tomiyasu back, considering after this game, we've got so many important games against more direct rivals that we need Tomiyasu available for. I think, even with the Villa game, if that potentially comes too soon, I would just say, after that, we've got 2 weeks until the next game because of the international break. Just give him that time to fully rehabilitate, get as fit as a fiddle, and then just get the absolute best out of him from whoever it is we've got after. I think it's Palace. So I think that would be a good route to go down. But if he is genuinely fit, I have no doubts that the club would make the correct call and throw him into the team, but I don't think that'll be tomorrow. And especially while Cedric's playing pretty solidly. I thought, the game against Leicester was probably the one where I've seen him struggle the most, but he was up against a very good player in Harvey Barnes, but the second half did absolutely fine against him. If he plays as he has done, I don't think he'll have too many issues. Depends who he's up against, whether that be Diaz, Salah, Mane. Obviously, it's a totally different kettle of fish, but I've got confidence in him doing a good job. And we've won 5 on the spin, and he's played in all 5 of those games, so he should be brimming with confidence.
And Tomiyasu can't be match fit, can he, James? So, I agree with this guy here. Never change a winning team. Yeah. He's not fit, Tomiyasu. He's not match fit. So that is the last game I'd bring him back against Liverpool.
Yes, and when you think how intense the game's going to be, it's just. It doesn't seem worth it. This is a guy that's been so important and integral to our back line earlier on in the season. For someone that obviously we want to keep fit for the long term, to rush him back into this game just doesn't really make sense. I think he played in the game at home to Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, and that was the one where he subsequently got injured again.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I got that right, but I think it just doesn't make sense to throw him back. And on your second point, Danny, if I was a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't say from their point of view they're going to be too. They've got real reason to be worried because they know the qualities they possess. But I think, they should look at how we played against City. They should look at the games we're playing at the minute and how well we're playing. And I think, they should be excited about what should be a really good game of football. But I mean, they're in a fortunate position where City have dropped points, but that makes tomorrow all the more difficult for us and them, I suppose, because they've got a lot of pressure. And, it's up to them to perform, really. The onus is on them more than it is us. Everyone's going to be looking at them. The pressure is on them. So for us, I feel like it's a good fixture.
Chris, James was talking about the Leicester game there. There was a lot of hoo-ha in the summer of whether we should buy Maddison or whether we should buy Odegaard. Do you think we make the right decision?
Let me think. You're asking somebody who is rapidly falling more in love with Martin Odegaard with every single day. James and I, along with our mate literally had like a cat, and you as well, Dan. We all had a cat sort of comparison contest in relation to Martin Odegaard. Yeah. I don't know that anybody loves. I love my cat, but even he's getting shunted to one side. There's a space in my heart for Martin Odegaard that is rapidly growing bigger and bigger. And my poor cat, he's just sitting to the side, like looking on and seeing this beautiful blonde-haired Norwegian just like a gazelle just glide across the pitch. I love him. I love watching his movement. I love the way that he is balanced. He moves his body, shifts his weight from left to right. He can shift his weight backwards and forwards like rapidly. It's just an absolute joy to watch. And in that second half, after we went 2-0 up, there was a period where the Olays came out, which made me cringe a little bit, if I'm honest. Yeah, however, it's beautiful to just see us popping the ball around quickly. And what's good about it is variation as well, because we're popping the ball around quickly and then we're slowing the play down, and then we pop it around quickly, and that's really difficult to play football against when you don't know what tempo is this team going at. You've got Ben White, who seems to be standing around at times, and then all of a sudden, ball gets nipped into Odegaard, and him and Lacazette move interchanging of possession. It's just wonderful to watch. I'm going to spend every moment that you give me waxing lyrical about Martin Odegaard, so you better stop me and let somebody else have a word.
Did you want him when he signed? Because a lot of people
absolutely. Okay, cool. And at that price as well, it was an absolute no-brainer. Odegaard's had a couple of injury problems, but no more than Maddison. And the thing that always winds me up is this English premium. So if Odegaard was called Martin Austin, then he probably and he was from Berkshire, he'd probably cost about 70 million quid. But because he's not an Englishman, you end up paying less, and blimey, what a steal for 30.
He's unbelievable. Do you know what I love? He's totally in control of that midfield. I love it. I love watching him. His little flicks on Saturday, his total absolute ball control. He's such a baller. And the people that, obviously I talked to a lot of people over podcasts and stuff like that. When they didn't want him, I was like gobsmacked. I really didn't see what people couldn't see that he could be. I thought we did really well for us last year. This year, he's just another level. And he's only going to get better as well when the team is gelling so well. And that is a lot down to Mikel Arteta and the fact that Aubameyang has left our shores. Oh, I'm probably going to get a lot in the comments about that.
Cookie, that no-look back heel that he did, that's straight out of FIFA 17, isn't it? That's a thing of beauty. That will be an NFT. NFT, yeah. It'd be one of those cards like the NBA are doing, where magnificent moves. That's going to be worth a lot of money. And he's filthy. Like we saw a couple of games ago, he's in the penalty box and he lifted the ball up over someone's head and it went over them and it landed for Lacazette. And then I think the goalkeeper jumped on Lacazette or something. It's just an absolute. Probably in your time watching Arsenal, Cookie, that's got to be one of the most complete midfielders you've seen us play with, hasn't it? Because you're only what are you, 25, 26?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, wow, you've got all of this to look forward to. Looking back, did you see Bergkamp play for Arsenal?
Yeah, towards the twilight end. Yeah.
So, is there any reminiscence, any similarities between the way Bergkamp is with the ball and where Odegaard is with the ball? Because quite a few people have been saying on Twitter that there is some resemblance in the way they control the ball and the stuff they do and the vision they have.
I think Odegaard's a really unique player, and he said it himself. He doesn't really want to be compared to other people. It's we're lucky that we've had some really good midfielders play at Arsenal. Looking back, the ones that I distinctly remember when I was growing up were the likes of, dare I say, Samir Nasri, Kleb, players like this who came through, and just their on the ball ability was just unrivaled, and his is on another level. He I think he just works so well in this team. When you look at, we've had a long period watching Mesut Ozil, who, I absolutely adore as well. Like, I've got nothing against the guy there, but I feel like Odegaard works so much better, whether it be in this team or this system. It just ticks. He's got the work rate to accompany the ability, and something I really like about him is that those flicks he does. Ozil would do those a lot, and they would come to nothing. He does them, and they come off 10 times out of 10. Like he knows where everyone is around him, and I think that's down to the players that he's got. I mean, in fairness to Ozil, he had the likes of Giroud around him, but with Odegaard, he's got Saka. He knows where he's going to be. It's the same with players like Martinelli. It's just the chemistry of this team, and he's at the real epicenter of that. And I think he's bringing out the best in our other players. So he's a real joy to have, and I think he could well be a generational player at Arsenal. I really hope we've got him for the rest of his career.
Yeah, only 23, Chris. It's mind-boggling. He's been here for what, 18 months? Did we have him for half a season last season or the whole season?
Yeah, he joined in January, didn't he?
Yes, he's basically had a year and a bit.
And do you know what as well? That's now turned out to be an absolute masterstroke. I think it's more serendipity than anything else, because I don't think that I think there was an opportunity that came up in January and we just took it. This was last year. And I think everyone talks about bedding in time for players. We managed to get him on loan and get a bedding in period for Odegaard. And all right, he's only massively big time clicked this side of Christmas. So this side of Christmas, before Christmas, he had moments, he had times on the bench and stuff, but everything is flowing through him. The relationship, the symbiotic relationship that he has with Bukayo Saka is absolutely fantastic. I love that your cat is getting involved in part of the chat. It's because I was talking about cats earlier, isn't it? That's what it is. It's come to say hello. But Odegaard has been fantastic. Highest number of presses yesterday, and he leads from the front. Like, the amount of times that you see him just closing down defenders or the goalkeeper, it's just great to see. He was the guy with the highest number of shot creating actions, eight shot creating actions yesterday. Everything flows through him. Like I said, I could do this entire podcast just about Martin Odegaard, mate. So somebody talk over me or something.
And do you think Amanda? Do you think it's good, the fact that we've rescued him from Real Madrid? We see on Twitter, there's what's his name, Jan Fjortoff has done the interview a few times. It was replayed on the radio recently, where he said it was Jan Fjortoff, Erling Haaland. And no, not Erling. What's his name? Odegaard's dad, and I think it might have been Erling Haaland, which is Alfie Haaland. Erling's dad.
Haaland.
That's it. His dad.
Alfie Haaland.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were saying that they all went to Real Madrid, and it was between Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, and Arsenal. I think were the four teams that are in the run to try and sign Odegaard, and he went to Real Madrid because he mirrors himself on the way that Zidane plays football, and so Zidane was manager of Real Madrid, and it all turned sour for him, didn't he? He had a brilliant loan at Real Sociedad, which is where he linked up with Isaac, and he was great there. And then they didn't seem to want him, and now people have been putting clips from Real Madrid fan sites going, "What? Stop showing your pub cat." Saying why have we let him go? How can he have gone for 35 million? Do you think that he's thankful to us for rescuing him from not playing? Because he played hardly any games there, and when he did get a chance, he wasn't played in his best position. And so he's going to be going, well, I'm going to give you the rest of my career, and I'm going to go and get Haaland because I'm Norwegian captain, and he's going to come and play here. Do you think we've done a big favour?
Oh, massive. I mean, look, he's come to a new club, new manager, new team, everything. And he's sparkling, isn't he? I mean, even the people that didn't want him, didn't rate him, are now absolutely throwing glowing tributes around about him. What people don't understand, and it's maybe because I'm really old, Dan, I'm even older than you, is that sometimes players take time to settle. Give them a chance, yeah? Some players hit off straight away. Look at Tomiyasu, straight away. I just loved him. But with Odegaard, I honestly think the best is yet to come. I think he's going to grow and grow in this team with Mikel, and let's see who he brings in the summer, because that's going to be even more interesting. But absolutely, number one on the sheet, not the score sheet. Team sheet. Sorry, it's honestly my age. Team sheet is Martin Odegaard at the moment.
Cookie, so was it you that mentioned Ozil? I think you did, when Ozil was doing these things against the likes of Ludogorets and looking world class because they're a rubbish team. Do you think that we've been a little bit unfair on Ozil? Because if you'd have stuck Ozil in a team like this, with wingers that can score goals rather than. Like if you'd have put Odegaard in with the team when Ozil was playing in Ozil's later years, he would have really struggled. Do you think that's an unfair thing on Ozil because he has got a lot of talent? I mean, he's not showing it at Fenerbahce at the moment, but Ozil would have thrived in this team, wouldn't he?
You'd like to think so. I mean, at the time when we got Ozil and our wingers were Theo Walcott and I can't remember who. We had Ramsey playing on the wing as well. So there was never really any cohesion with Mesut Ozil and the players initially, but then we got Sanchez in and it started to click a little bit more for him. But
Sanchez and Ozil.
Yeah, good times. But I think if you'd have put him into this team, I mean, you look at the off-the-ball movement from the likes of Martinelli and Saka, and then you've got someone like Lacazette linking it all up. I mean, I think it would have been pretty tasty. But they're two different players. I mean, the one thing that Odegaard has over Ozil is, of course, the work rate, and that's not to say that Ozil didn't work hard in his later years at Arsenal. I think he definitely did, but for a large part of his career, he didn't have that, and a lot of times he was on the periphery of games. There were a lot of big away games where he just wasn't anywhere to be seen. I know that was a big problem in his first couple of seasons. That was one that was definitely highlighted with Odegaard. You know that even if we are losing 6-7-0, God forbid, he's still going to be the one pushing the team, driving to get that goal, and that's what I felt we lacked with Ozil. But I've got nothing against Ozil. I still think he's a fantastic player. Shame how it ended up at Arsenal, and obviously don't want to go off on a massive tangent. But two different players, and each had their Ozil had his good moments at the club. But I think there's going to be hopefully many more good moments to come from Martin Odegaard.
Chris, just thinking about what we were talking then about Ozil. We saw the trust the process. It was Ozil one season. It was Sanchez the next season. We fought two world-class players there. And then the next season, it was Petr Cech, and that was the end of it. We've seen already with the youth coming through and the magnificent summer we had last summer. I won't list all the players that we bought, but they've all been fantastic players with apart from Tavares and Lukonga, but I don't think they were bought for this season. They were bought for long term. Can you see us doing similar magic in doing an audacious stunt this summer as well and pulling off a few great signings? Because Edu must look back at those Ozil, Sanchez, Cech days and gone, we're not making that mistake again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no amateur I'm professional or amateur accountant, but one of the big things that we've probably all been reading about lately is how we've dramatically reduced the wage bill, particularly with the disappearance of Aubameyang. So if we have dropped that wage bill as much as is anticipated, then there's a bit more, hopefully, cash to play with. And then you're talking about, fingers crossed, it's about augmenting the team and putting more bells and whistles onto the team rather than having to completely gut the team and start again. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like we know we need a striker. We know we need a Xhaka replacement. We probably need another right back to deputise behind Tomiyasu, is my opinion. And we've got Matt Turner supposedly coming in from the US. So that's the goalkeeping situation. So it feels like we don't need root and branch change now. What we need is quality. And if you listen to Arteta's press conferences, it sounds like he's saying that as well. When you read behind the lines, he is saying about now we need to make that next level step up to get those elite footballers in. The key thing for me, though, and I think every Arsenal fan's unified on this, is I've seen something earlier on. It's probably just spurious about talking about Eden Hazard coming in. I mean, you don't want to see players of that latter end of the age profile. Stick with what we're doing. Stick with players in there, between 21 to 23, maybe 24, build the squad together, keep that unity together that Odegaard keeps talking about and the players keep talking about, how this squad feels really unified. And let's see what can happen next season, because if we get top four, more money to play with, get yourself in a proper centre forward. Talked about Ozil. Ozil had Sanchez. When Ozil was at his best, he had Sanchez making those runs in behind. Martin Odegaard's got Saka, and that's where he's naturally gravitating towards. But imagine if you've got yourself somebody right through the middle, so that Odegaard's got options instead of, focusing on. Not that he does actually, to be fair, focus on Saka, because he's also able to spray the ball out wide left as well to the likes of Martinelli or Smith Rowe. But for me, this is really positive, because we're not talking about 6-7 players need to come in. We're talking about 3-4 top quality players max.
I agree with that. Amanda, we're going to pull out the old, it's like a new signing. Talk to us about Partey. The man's it's a miraculous recovery, isn't it? I mean, they've changed his position. He's now playing with the kind of freedom and skill, game after game after game. He was the Arsenal Player of the Month last month. I think that was slightly stat padded because he shouldn't have been. It should have been Odegaard. But he's just been absolutely magnificent, isn't he? And he is the player that, should we compare him to Vieira almost, with that kind of dominating figure in midfield? Slightly different jobs, but you don't want to come up against him on a good day, do you?
No, but that's what we were all hoping when Partey joined, wasn't it? Next Vieira, and that sort of tough midfielder that we needed. Absolutely. It didn't actually start off quite so badly as everyone thought, and then it didn't get great. It didn't. It really went a bit downhill. We were all wondering, okay, so what's going on here? What's gone wrong? We expected this fantastic midfielder. We didn't really get that, and then all of a sudden, again, as I said, maybe it takes time to settle into a new country, a new club, a new manager, a new team. I'll say it again. Sometimes it takes a while. Think back to Robert Perez, how long it took him. So yes, he is now what we expect and what we wanted. But again, it's possibly Arteta and the way he's dealing with these players, the way he's giving them the confidence to play. He's obviously in a better position now. Touch wood, and I don't really want to say this because I really shouldn't, but Xhaka seems to be a little bit less hot-headed. I want to say that before tomorrow night because I know what I've just done.
He's off, and it's your fault.
When I was on Radio Merseyside, I said, as long as Xhaka doesn't get a red, So with Partey, he's learning all the time, and honestly, he's everything that we need and everything we wanted and everything we expected, and that is how it's going now with him.
Can I just jump in? Michael Oliver, referee tomorrow. Just chucking that one in there. Michael,
does it matter?
Michael, 2 yellows, Oliver.
Boom, boom, tish.
Oh, well, maybe you'll make up for all that nonsense then.
Haven't we had a bad history with Pawson? Pawson? Wasn't he the referee yesterday? Craig Pawson?
Yeah. He was the David Luiz only just touched someone's sort of heel.
Oh, yeah, the back of the calf and all that nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, Cookie, you're a man who's good with words. Tickle everybody with your soliloquy about Partey, because I can see you slightly dribbling and leaning to one side there as everyone's talking about him. Almost like you've been made to watch people barbecuing ribs. You've got a little bit of, let me have a go.
I could talk about him all day long. I think, he's trusting his body a lot more, and I think that's something that we've really missed with him. It's easy to forget that he's had quite a few injury niggles since coming to Arsenal, particularly in his first season. I mean, that first season was virtually a write-off because he did have some really good games. I remember Martin Keown at every single opportunity when he was commentating on BT Sport, calling him a Rolls Royce. Literally every opportunity he got, he was saying that. And he wasn't wrong, to be fair. Even though he overused the term, he wasn't wrong, because there were some games where he was absolutely phenomenal. That defeat away to Wolves, funnily enough, he was sensational in that game. And we got glimpses of what he could be. And now this season, he's doing it so consistently. He's got those injury problems, fingers crossed, behind him. And we know how fit he can be, because before he came to Arsenal, I mean, it was so ironic that he got those injuries, because as Atletico, I don't think he'd hardly missed a game through injury. So if we can get him fit and firing, I mean, he's 28, he's in the prime of his career. If we can have him playing like this for the next 2-3 years, he will be such an important part of this team, and playing in that 6th role, just dictating the tempo from deep, allowing the likes of Odegaard and Xhaka to play that bit further up the pitch and do what they do best. And the way he moves the ball so quickly as well, I think it's not just him, but Xhaka and Odegaard, that little triangle that they did in the latter half of the game against Leicester, that everyone's tweeting about at the minute. I mean, it's just so good how quickly we're moving the ball, and he's a big part of that. And the way he dominates the midfield, I'm excited to see him up against Fabinho tomorrow, because that's the real litmus test. Because very similar players in the way they play, but I really think on this form he could have the better of him. And this is the first time I think you're going to see Xhaka, Partey, Odegaard against Liverpool. So it's going to be, if you look at Liverpool's midfield, what is it? Fabinho, Henderson, Keita, or they might have Jones in there. Honestly, I think we can really have the better of them in midfield. And if we win that battle, I think we can win the game.
I think
that's exciting.
Some of our parts.
Can I just jump in on just a couple of bits on Partey? So most number of tackles, which surprised me. I would have thought that would have been a Gabriel or a Ben White thing for the Leicester game. Second highest number of presses as well, on 19, and Odegaard was on 22. It just shows kind of the influence as well that he's having on games, as Cookie's just been talking about, like trusting his body. He's not shirking challenges. He's not thinking to himself, I need to protect myself a bit here. He is making tackles. He's winning the ball. He's pressing. He trusts his body, and I think hopefully we're the beneficiaries of that. Certainly against Liverpool. I think Cookie, you may just made a brilliant point. It's only when you say it out loud, you compare the two midfields, you start to think, actually, we've got a shout here. You're making me believe, mate.
That's what I do. What can I say?
We've got the Swiss captain, we got the Ghanaian captain, and we got the Norwegian captain. I mean, that's a decent midfield, isn't it? I mean, Amanda, does that...
The next England captain, Bukayo Saka.
Yeah. Who? Saka?
And number one goalkeeper for England.
Yeah, it is. Can you see a future at Arsenal with Xhaka, with this new... because now those three are more than the sum of their parts, aren't they? And I think that's a stat-padded Xhaka slightly, because the other two are Rolls-Royce players, like Cookie was saying. But do you think maybe this Xhaka might sneak a new contract? Because it looked like he was off the Roma in the summer. He had his bag packed, he had the fake tan on and the factor 50 just to make sure he didn't get sunburned. But would you like to see him stay? Because if you don't tell anyone, Amanda, I'd love to see him stay.
No, and no. Sorry, Dan. I don't want to see him stay. And, I've got the utmost respect for him at times. The fact that he came back from all the disgusting abuse he got online. I watched a video of him with the AST last week. Akil, our mate Axe, interviewed him. Interview. Wasn't it fantastic? Mm-hmm. And absolutely love Xhaka. But he's not good enough for what we need to go to the next level, I'm afraid, Dan. So I definitely wouldn't offer him another contract. We need someone in his position. So it's a no for me.
Would either of you two keep Xhaka? I mean, I don't think Xhaka would stay at Arsenal as not a first-team starter, but I think Lacazette might stay at Arsenal as not a first-team starter, because both of those players are not going to get the wages they're on now if they go to Italy or Spain or back to France.
Well, you didn't ask me that, Dan. If you asked me about Lacazette, I'd give him an extra year.
Yeah, I'll come back to after these two have finished chatting about those two. You let us don't ruin it. What you do?
Sorry.
Pretend you didn't say that. Cookie, go on. You look like you're about to say something. Chris has got his pen ready, so you better be quick.
Yeah, look, I'm going to disagree with Amanda because I think he's been class. I mean, the only thing I would say about him that I think is a slight issue is his mobility in the role that he's playing, because
his red cards.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously an issue as well. But I mean, in the role he's playing at the minute. I think he's given license to make a few more of those mistakes that have cost us so dearly in the past. I mean, if you look back to the 18-19 season, the game against Brighton, I think it was, that cost us the top four. He has really had some clangers, but in this role he's playing at the minute, there's a lot less responsibility for him to make those errors. And the way he's linking up with his midfield compatriots, I mean, it just works so well. I know there's been a lot of talk about us getting Kessie from Milan, and if we're able to get someone a bit more dominant, a bit, a little bit faster, then I think that would be the obvious upgrade. And someone that's not going to make the red cards, make those mistakes. If you can get that out of the game, then you've got an obvious upgrade. And let's not forget with Xhaka as well, he's going to be 30 this year, so he's not going to be around forever. But I think there's clearly, given that he's not the fastest guy in the world, he doesn't rely on pace, there's another 2 years at the very top level left in him. Whether that's at Arsenal, I'm not sure. And like you say, I don't think he's going to stick around if he's not going to be a first-team starter. I think if there's an upgrade out there, then we have to go and get that and risk losing Xhaka, because I wouldn't blame him for not sticking around. But I think that would be a good resolution for both parties if we could upgrade. But if there's not an upgrade out there, like there wasn't in the summer, because I think we all knew back in the summer of last year we were looking to get an upgrade on him, which is why he was so heavily linked to Roma. And he ended up staying, but he's stayed and he's done well. But the club obviously want to move beyond him, and I think
but
it would
James,
be.
That could have been a financial thing last summer. Aubameyang was still there. Maybe they couldn't afford to get the midfielder. Maybe the midfielder they want wasn't available. We need an upgrade on him. We do.
It could have been, but if there is a similar situation this summer, where if there is, we know how specific we are now with players. The fact that we haven't got a striker in for the sake of getting one in the January transfer window. If we can't get who Arteta wants to get, when we've got someone like Xhaka who can still play that role very well, he's playing in his team, we're winning games, we're playing beautiful football. I think the club would rather stick with him, albeit for another season, and accept the risks that he brings to the team, albeit they're slightly becoming less noticeable now. Then go out there and get someone that might not be the right cultural or the right style fit. So it'll be interesting. But like I say, like bottom line for me is if there's an upgrade out there who's 5-7 years younger than Xhaka, is better, go and get him. It's as simple
I'll be
as that.
disappointed if he's still here this next season. I will. But anyway.
If I can offer a
Here
standard
we go.
case of the defence of Granit Xhaka, staying on the side of the fence with Cookie. When Granit Xhaka was out of the team last year, as in this season, but last year, we suffered. Sambi Lokonga had some good games, but he did also have a few games which was a little bit ropey. It was good to see.
Yeah, but we're
him.
going to
It's
have
good
an
give him some
upgrade,
more.
Chris. It's going to be different.
If you'll
isn't
let
it?
me finish.
God.
I'm not saying that we don't need an upgrade. I think we definitely do need an upgrade. I think the club recognise that we need an upgrade, and I think we're going to get an upgrade. But that upgrade doesn't have to come at the expense of Granit Xhaka's place in the squad. We're going to be losing Mohamed El-Neni. We're going to be losing Eddie Nketiah. We're probably going to be losing Alexander Lacazette. We're going to be losing quite a few players. We've got a lot of players that are out on loan that we're going to miss as well. So there's going to be some cash coming in. Do we really need the money that a Granit Xhaka sale would bring? Because I don't think that we're going to get much money for a 29-year-old Granit Xhaka. If we're lucky, we'll get £10 million. Personally, if you're saying to me that you can have a midfield 4 to rotate for the season of Thomas Partey, quality player to play in that left 8 role. You've got Albert Sambi Lokonga, who can play just as deputy to Thomas Partey. You've got, I think, Emil Smith-Rowe and Odegaard can both play as those number 8s in the centre. You've got Bukayo Saka that can play that as well. You've got a number of options there, as well as Granit Xhaka, who can play as an able deputy. I think Granit Xhaka as a squad player for next season absolutely makes sense to me. I think you've got to look at his impact in the dressing room as well. If we're going to use the argument that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was a negative impact on the team, I'm not 100% convinced on that personally. I think that was a personal relationship issue between Arteta and Aubameyang. But if you're going to talk about the impact of players and the positivity that they bring, you cannot disregard the fact that Granit Xhaka is well liked in that dressing room. And if he goes, the players are going to miss him as well. And just on my final point, and then I will shut up, I don't like the constant comments about the red cards. He's had 1 red card this season and 5 yellows. And people talk about
Granit Xhaka tax, isn't it?
Yeah. And people talk about as if like he is somebody that gets a red card every 4 games. Doesn't happen. The facts just show that.
But
and
Chris,
done.
Paul Neal says Sambi is Partey's backup, not Xhaka's.
Are we sure of that though? I think
Yeah, but I've
do both.
But what I've just said is that Xhaka's not playing in that position, and that's not what I was saying. I was saying that we need an upgrade on Xhaka and Xhaka to step back into more of a squad position.
I don't want him here next season. I'm sorry. I know you're all trying to convince me, but you won't. He's not good enough.
Amanda? How about this for a little bit of on Xhaka's side? He's one of the few players in the Arsenal at the moment who's got Champions League experience with Arsenal. 2 seasons of Champions League experience. How many other players in the squad have got Champions League experience? Hardly any.
I was very excited that he actually passed the ball forward a lot this season. That's all I'm going to say.
Cheeky.
And Melvin Marks is right. We're not sending him for the money. We need an upgrade. I think he will. Don't get me wrong. As a human being, I think he's wonderful, and I do think the team love him. I've got no doubt about that. And I do believe the team loved Aubameyang as well. I think Aubameyang, it was just an Arteta thing. But we do need an upgrade if we're going to go. If we hit top 4, surely we want to go for the league. No?
Go for the league.
Why not?
Oh, what, next season?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
not this season. But
yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. Bloody hell,
I'm
you're
saying sorry, I missed out. If we hit top 4 this season,
yes,
then next season we've surely got to upgrade what we need to go for the league. Why would we go for 2nd or 3rd?
But we'll also be playing 60 odd games a season with a decent couple of cup runs and the Champions League through to maybe the last 32, last 16 with this great team. Anyway, Cookie, anything you want to say on that before I move on to one quick fire question for you all?
I think we've had enough on Granit Xhaka, haven't we?
Fair enough. Said like a wise man. Right, Chris, all of you. For next season, I want your captain and vice captain.
Captain, I would like to see Martin Odegaard. obviously, and vice captain. I'd love to say Ramsdale, but keepers as captains is a bit of a weird one. So maybe someone like Gabriel, if he learns to speak English.
Cheeky. I think he speaks with his feet. Amanda, what are you going to pick?
Vice captain Tierney, if he could keep fit. Okay. Or captain. Partey or Odegaard, I suppose. I don't know. If Partey can, yeah, I think I'd like to take it away from Odegaard, just let him play his football. I think Partey captain, Tierney vice.
Okay, Cookie, what are you going to go for? So far, no one's gone for what I'd go for. I bet you're going to do what I'm going to do. Go on.
I'm going Tierney captain, Odegaard vice.
Oh, I had that the other way around. Yes, because another one of a Champions League experience, Tierney, Championship experience. He's won 3 or 4 titles. I think he's won 2 doubles with Celtic. There's no one at the club who's got more success as a player in current football. I don't think they have. No, because they've all been playing for Arsenal, haven't they? So, of course, they've got no success at the titles. Right, and I heard this on the Tuesday Club last night. With the
I haven't listened to it.
Huh?
I haven't listened to it yet. Was it a good one? I love the Tuesday Club.
Alan Davies is brilliant, and the El Presidente is brilliant, and then Damien is well, it's not my podcast, so I'll say Damien is a confused gentleman. I want one answer from each of you, starting with you, Chris. Chelsea, you can have one player. Who you have him?
Oh, blimey. I do. It's difficult to look beyond Kai Havertz, but Pulisic. I like Pulisic as well. Pick one. Pulisic.
Oh, Amanda?
No, Havertz.
Oh, just Havertz. Yeah.
You going Havertz?
Yeah.
Excellent. Cookie?
Reece James.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Reece James. Do you know what that confused gentleman, Damien Harris, said? Oh, Kante, Olive Kante. What? From 4 years ago when he was good? Dear, oh dear, you silly Matsy. Loki's put Kante, and he's put... If you're all putting Kante to take the mickey, DDL, bad people. I'm not pressing any more buttons, Amanda. That's your job tonight. Yes, I'd go Reece James, but I do like now. See, those Chelsea strikers have come into a little bit of form, and you're thinking they'll all be on a Bosman come June the 1st this year. Actually, do we need somewhere for the younger players to train? So we could buy the stadium for about 25 quid, and all of that's going to charity. Apparently, lovely. Right,
but,
let's go on.
Go on. Sorry.
No.
I was just going to say I don't think Chelsea are now going to lose a game until the end of the season. Unfortunately, because I think his back's against the wall. Sorry, that's just my opinion.
Well, they're having to walk to all the away games, aren't they? So that's not going to help.
They'll be on their bikes, wouldn't they? Then?
They said they're going to have to have an 11-hour round trip to Middlesbrough. I thought, oh, bless you.
And they tried to get the game played behind closed doors, for God's sake.
And Middlesbrough bantered them off, didn't they?
That was funny. That was funny.
Yeah,
and integrity and Chelsea in the same sentence.
Okay, right. What's the other thing we were gonna talk about? How do you think I know we talked a little bit about the Liverpool game, Chris. How do you think the Liverpool game's going to go? How they're going to set up against us? How should we take the game? Because we've got Aston Villa on Sunday, and after that, we'll talk about the fixtures. Is it Saturday?
Saturday, 12:30. Mm-hmm. You've got to get up then.
I set my alarm for Sunday. Oh no!
Already
you've been missing it then.
Sunday.
What am I going to do? Oh, good. I don't have anything else in my life to do. I'll have to change the alarm. I honestly thought it was Sunday. Swines. So, Chris, how do you think the game's going to play out? And if you had to go for a prediction, what are you going to go for? Either how the game's going to go or just a result?
I think this is going to be obviously a very, very tough game. I think they're going to try and look to exploit Cedric on our right-hand side. I think Diaz is absolutely rapid. And there was a couple of instances at the weekend against Brighton. And I looked at him and thought, him up against Cedric Suarez really does worry me. I think I don't think we'll rotate. I think Arteta's going to go the same team as he did against Leicester and hope that we can carry the momentum. I think Cookie made like I said earlier, he made a really interesting point about the midfield. If we can get hold of that midfield, if we see Thomas Partey from the weekend, if we see Martin Odegaard from the weekend, and even if we see an improved Granit Xhaka, then I think that could have an impact, because what we've got to do is pin back their fullbacks, because basically Liverpool win football matches through their awesome front three and then their fullbacks. So what you've got to do is you've got to pin them back. And one of the things I saw in the game at the Emirates in January was that Martinelli had a couple of instances where he was having a run at Trent. If you can pin him back so that they're not able to have the way of the pitch on those flanks, then we've got a chance. And Bukayo Saka's in form, Martinelli's in form, Odegaard's in form. We've got a shout. I still think it might be a bit too much for us because I just think them and Man City are a cut above all of the rest of the teams in the division. So I still think we'll probably lose. But like I say, it's a free hit. And what I want to see is Arsenal having a go at them.
Like Alan Davis said on the Tuesday Club, if we can draw against Chelsea, Man United and Liverpool, I'd take that. He'd take that. No, I don't remember the last time the Premier League said, lads, we call it a draw. So it's a little bit like saying throw someone under the bus. I've never seen anyone thrown under a bus. It's ridiculous. Amanda, I was just looking. I agree with everything Chris said there, because he's a man of words. I was just looking at Liverpool in the Premier League. At home, they've scored 37 goals. Away, they've scored 36 goals. That's worrying, isn't it? To have a similar form, home to away, it shows what a magnificent team they are. What are you expecting?
Well, as I said, I was on the radio before with the Scouser up in the BBC Merseyside, and they are a little bit concerned about coming to the Emirates. They know we're on a good run. We've had quite a few games now winning. It's not a great ground for them, apparently, but they're not. They know they've got to go for it because obviously with City drawing last night, I said to him, as I said at the beginning, we'd all take a draw. Absolutely, we would. They are a cut above us, Chris. You're totally right. No one's going to that game convinced we're going to win. I went for a 2-2 draw because I just cannot predict us losing. I don't like doing predictions anyway. We've got a chance, Dan, if we come out all guns blazing and just go at them. We've got to go at them. We have to. And they've got to come at us at some point anyway. I don't think that either of us will be sitting back. I'm going 2-2. Do I really believe that? Probably not. But you never know. On the night, the lights will be flashing at 8:15. Me and Chris will be there and billions of other gooners. And
I'll be there as well.
Oh, good. As well, Jamie. Sorry, darling. I didn't know you were going. Cookie will be there as well, and many others that we know. And we definitely will make it a night for them to remember. Definitely. Because if they need the 12th man, woman, we'll be there. It'll be a tremendous atmosphere tomorrow night.
Cookie,
what do you think?
After the game against City, I mean, it'd be beautiful if we won this. It'd be so good because we've seen we can do it. It was just those tiny, fine margins against City that meant we didn't win. But to actually beat Liverpool would show that, we're not a million miles away from these teams. And honestly, I don't think man for man we are a million miles away from the likes of Liverpool. I think City are in just a bubble of their own. But I do think, like I mentioned earlier, our midfield compared to Liverpool's, dare I say, it is ever so slightly superior. I do think we've got some real good players in there. Obviously, I'm not going to compare our front three to their front three. Salah, Jota, Diaz, Firmino. I mean, they're in a league of their own. But we've seen through the likes of Saka and Martinelli the good things Lacazette brings to the team. Just how much we can influence games. And the good thing now is we've got players like Smith Rowe, we've got players like Pepe off the bench who can influence the game. Even Nketiah, if you look back to that game against Wolves, the impact he had, we've got players that can have some sort of impact off the bench if things aren't going our way. And it'll be really frustrating if we're winning this game 1-0 and then we throw it in the last minute for a 1-1 draw. That would kill me. But on the flip side, if we're losing 1-0 and drawing the last minute, what a result that would be.
Oh, yeah,
so, it's going to depend on how the evening goes. I just want to see a performance, whatever the result may be. But I do genuinely think if we don't get something out of this game, I will be disappointed because our home form is immaculate. We've got really tough games coming up. That one of the weekend is another tough one. We've got to go to West Ham. We've got to go to Palace, who held Man City last night. So this is a real opportunity, I think, just to really stamp our authority, build on those past 5 games. And why not? Why can't we do it?
Everyone's hopeful and positive. It's definitely going to be a great game. I'm going to go for a 0-0, but I probably think we're going to lose. And if we do lose, there's no harm in losing every now and then because you got to take the highs with the lows. But Chris, we all know that Twitter is a cesspool of insanity and lunacy and depravity. Occasionally, people do come up with the odd decent idea. Could you see dropping Lacazette at any point this season and playing Smith Rowe in that position? Because we can't keep having Smith Rowe on the bench because we need to have Martinelli. We need to have our best players playing. And as Lacazette doesn't play as a striker and doesn't score, and Smith Rowe doesn't have to play as a striker, but he still scores in those positions. Is that a possibility, do you think?
Do you know what? Maybe it's even a possibility for tomorrow night because, like, Arteta likes to play the old galaxy brain, as some people have coined, and maybe this is one of those instances because Liverpool think they're facing up against Van Dijk and Matip think they're facing up against Lacazette tomorrow night. So imagine if Emile Smith-Rowe drops into the team and is starting to connect a little bit more on that left-hand side, or is switching with Martinelli to let Martinelli have a run at them. Just a bit of movement, a bit of X factor, a bit of something different. We've got to do something because this Liverpool team looked formidable. I mean, I was just looking at they basically score 2.6 goals every game on average this season. It's mental. They've got 73 goals this season. They're on course to break 100 goals in 38 games, and that's scary. So and defensively, second best or third best defense in there as well, 2 behind Man City. So for me, we've got to try something different. Maybe we do have to try something different. I don't think he will. I think he'll trust with that 11 that won at the weekend, and if that happens, I'll be fine with it. But maybe there is a shout for Emile Smith-Rowe. Try something different. See if you can go a bit of galaxy brain on Jurgen Klopp, and let's see how it pans out.
Amanda, have you got any thoughts on that?
I think we've got Pepe as well. I mean, him coming off the bench is going to give us something extra if we need it. I don't know. I think I would just keep the team as it is. I do like a winning team. That's my fear. And I love Emile Smith-Rowe coming off the bench. I'm not sure he likes coming off the bench as much as we like him coming off the bench. But I think it just gives us something to change the game, and he will change it. I love him. Honestly, we are so blessed with Saka and ESR. We so are. So it's just going to be one of those nights, Dan, that you cannot predict. If we win, it'll be phenomenal. If we draw, it'll be amazing. If we lose, most of us are expecting that. It's a really strange game to go to. You do feel like you've got nothing to lose and it's backs against the wall, and, just go for it. I think we should just go for it. I really do.
Yeah, because that's when we're at our best, when we're going for it. It's when we saw in the Leicester game, for the first half an hour, we were at them and they had no answer. It's when we slowed the game down, Cookie, that's when they had some shots. They had a bit of, and at one point in the second half, and at the end of the first half, I think they had something like 78 or 68% possession. So do you think that formation might have legs?
Potentially. I mean, I think that's been a bit of a problem in peaks and troughs this season. We've scored and then we've kind of gone into our shell a little bit, and we've not really killed the game and gone for the second goal. I mean, there was a real opportunity in that game against Leicester where Cedric put the ball on the plate for Lacazette. He couldn't get out his feet, and then Partey went and hit the bar. If that goes in, then the game's effectively dead in the first half. But because that didn't happen, we allowed Leicester to come back into the game, and we stood off a little bit. But it was interesting what Arteta said in the previous game against Watford, where we let the game slide a little bit towards the end, that we just need to keep the ball, play our game. It's exactly what we did in the second half. Got the early goal, and after that, we kept going. We kept the ball really well when we needed to. We didn't let Leicester have a sniff. I don't think they created an opportunity in that second half, and it's just not allowing ourselves to fall into those traps against Liverpool. Because if we do get an early goal, I will be a little bit scared for what's to come, because I don't want us to hang on to that. I don't want us to sit back. We just have to keep going no matter what the score is. Even at 3-0, that's still a dangerous lead against Liverpool. So we're not going to win 3-0, by the way. But if that was to happen, then we've got to keep going. The only thing that's worrying me slightly about these games is they're all incredibly intense. The game at the weekend was really intense, and we're using the exact same 11 virtually week in, week out. And we've got another very tough game just a couple of days after this one. We've just played a very good Leicester team. I mean, it's a real test of this squad, and I do think fatigue may become a slight issue. The international break is coming at the right time, but I do hope, whether it be in this game or the game against Aston Villa, we do start to utilise the squad a little bit more, because we've got Pepe on the bench, we've got Smith Rowe on the bench. I mean, these aren't bad footballers. I wouldn't change a thing about the defence or midfield, but we have got players there that can come into the team and not change the balance too much. So I hope, Arteta uses those guys.
Can we just say...
Neil. Oh, go on, you say
Dan.
Yeah, you do it.
Paul Neil. Thank you for your Neil. I can't see.
I've been calling him Paul Neil for the last 6 months.
That's what I thought.
Don't worry about it.
Thank you for your donation to the channel. Half pints all round in honour of Lee. Thanks for the content. You're welcome.
Chris, do Cheers, Paul. Chris, you were shaking your head furiously when Cookie was saying something then about the squad rotation. And unlike crop rotation in the 14th century, that's one for people who used to watch the young ones. When they're on the train going to the University Challenge, I've started waffling already because we've only got 5 minutes to go. It doesn't do much squad rotation, does he? And you would think with these run of games coming up, he needs to learn to start bringing. I mean, Lukonga and Tavares, they might as well be invisible at the moment, hadn't they?
Yeah, and the worry is that because he's not rotating very much, is they're almost, it's from a standing start, isn't it? Rather than giving them minutes, getting them up to speed and things like that. But we haven't needed to up until this point. This is where it starts to. This is where Arteta earns his crust. Sorry if I seemed like I was shaking my head. I was genuinely agreeing with Cookie. I've obviously started turning a little bit old, and I'm doing that random thing that old people do, where they just shake their head randomly without knowing it. But I'm in the same boat. I'm a child of the Championship Manager sort of generation. So I'm a man that sees players going down on a screen down to about 75-80% fitness, and it's out they come, and in goes the next one. Yeah, that's it. So I agree with Cookie. We need to do it, but you can't do it in the Liverpool game. But he's got to look at the Villa game and make some decisions, I think. And that's, as I said, I think that's where he's going to earn his crust.
Right, sticking with you, final topic. We've got 4 minutes to do this. After the Villa game, we go typical of organising. We've got 16 days without a game, and then we've got 5 days in 19 days, Chris, and then come on to Amanda and Cookie. This is going to be such an important run-in for the people. I suppose everybody will know we've got Villa at the weekend, and then when we come back from the international, is it an international break? It probably is. We've got away to Palace. That's going to be tough. We saw them against Man City last night. They were really good. Then we're at home to Brighton. That shouldn't be too hard. Away to Southampton, no problem. At home to Chelsea. Away to Chelsea, home to Man United, and then the 1st of May, away to West Ham. That is...
And Dan, you haven't, and also they've not rearranged the Spurs fixture yet.
They're saving that for the end of the season.
Of course they are. They're going to try and make it, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to milk us.
It would be funny if we already had top 4 by then.
Yeah, that's Chris. What do you think to that? And maybe like Amanda said, what about the Spurs game?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone loves a conspiracy theory. I generally think that's what's going to happen with the Tottenham game. They're going to try and they'll probably see how it washes out in the next sort of 5 games, and that will dictate whether or not they chuck the game in sooner rather than later. I've just written down how many points. I mean, I was looking at that thinking maybe 7 points after the Villa game is what I kind of get a feeling for. Whether that's enough, I don't know. I saw somebody, I think it was Scott, _crab said he'd done some modelling, and he said we've got to pick up something like, was it, I think it's we've got 12 games left. So if we win 6 of them, that'll probably be enough. 18 points. That's a good shout. Possibly 16.
Do more than that.
If we get 18 points, that brings us up to.
It all depends on whoever the big teams. If we get a point or if we get a point against the big teams, and I think 18 could well be enough. But I think we can push for 21.
Yeah, I mean, 18 points gets us up to just shy of 70, I think. So it's just 69. So whether or not that's good enough, I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be tough.
Amanda,
the cat's taking over.
Dora. Oh, she was Theodore, as in Walcott. Then we found out Theodore was a Dora, so now she's a her. Can you see it written in the stars, Amanda? St. Tottenham Day Sunday, the NLD. Can you see that coming?
God, at the moment I don't want to say anything, but that's what obviously they're trying to do, isn't it? To not schedule it for April, it's going to be May. Yeah. I would have absolutely loved it if it was at the Emirates, but it's not. It's at Tottenham. So, listen, I would just like to go there already being top 4, Dan. It would just be amazing to actually go there and just have and play them, because the pressure, if we have to go there to get top 4, I'm not sure I could cope, to be honest.
So how about the general fixture congestion? Does that worry you? You have 5 games in 19 days with such a small squad.
It's absolutely ridiculous that we've got all these breaks, and then again, 5 games in how many days? And
19.
They're big games. They're big games. So look, it's been a strange season anyway, with lots of different breaks. We've hardly no FA Cup, no European, no Europe, no nothing. So we've literally been focused on the league the whole way through. I just take game by game. Our next game up is tomorrow night against Liverpool. If we can get anything there, then, you know, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything, but I just hope we get some form of Europe this year to go into next year. It will be disappointing if we miss out, because United are absolutely crap unless Ronaldo turns up, and Tottenham are just inconsistent. They're consistently inconsistent, Tottenham. You never know. 1 minute they're like well beaters, the next minute they can't score a goal and win a game. And that's how their fans think as well about them. So we are the consistent one out of those two. You know, we are. And it'll be out. It's in our hands, and it's for us to lose.
Cookie, what's your thoughts on that?
Got a lot of thoughts, mate. A lot of thoughts. Don't want to tempt fate. I mean, I don't think Tottenham are all that. I really don't think they're great. I know.
Team.
Yeah, I think, you know, they had that great win against Everton 5-0, but I mean, who's not beating Everton in the minute? I wouldn't read too much into that. And then the next game they go and lose to Man United. And I know they did play relatively well in the first half against United, but you look at United as well, you know, another contender for top four. And what did they do in that game apart from, you know, Ronaldo's magnificence? And that's, I think, the slight difference between us and them is that if they're not playing well, they've got someone that can do that. I look at us and, yeah, we have got brilliant players in Martinelli, Saka, but you know, to do what Ronaldo does with the charisma that he's got, with the experience that he's got, that is a slight difference maker. But footballing terms, we are levels above both of them. Our football is a lot better than both of those teams, especially Man United. And looking at those games we've got it up in front of me now, Southampton, Chelsea, United, those three in the space of a week, that's going to be defining. They're going to be really, really defining games, because Southampton, they're coming out of a bit of form now, but I mean, they were really good at home before Newcastle beat them. I think they were unbeaten for 10 games. So if they can put a run together before that game, that's going to be really tricky. But fingers crossed they keep falling like they are at the minute. Chelsea away, God knows how that will go. Just got to avoid defeat there. And United at home, I want us to absolutely annihilate them, and I think we can. I really, really want to see us beat United about 3-0, and just not give them a sniff, because I do not rate them at all. And if we throw that game, then we've only got ourselves to blame, because we are a better team than them in every sense of the words. Defensively better, midfield superior, attackingly got so much more creativity. That's the game that, you know, I've had my eyes on for the past couple of months, and I'll be devastated if we don't win that game, because we've got all the minerals to do it.
Lovely, Chris. Any final words before we've done our hour? It's time to go. You've always a man with wise words at the end.
I was just looking at the Premier League table. I've just looked over the last 5 years as it's top four by the end of the season, and the points total. So the average points total works out as about 70 points. We're on 51. So if we're going to get to the average, 71 points, we've basically got to pick up 20 points, which is, what's that? That's 7 wins. So we've got to get 7 wins out of our next 12. I think it's doable. We've got to pick up wins against some of those bigger games, though. Interesting also, looking at, by the time you get to match week 28, I know we've only played 26 games, but most are on 28. And around about the 50-point mark is where a lot of teams are, 50, 51, 52, 53 points when they get to match game 28. We've done 26 games, we're on 51. So it really does feel like we're there or thereabouts. It's going to be really tough into the season. We've got some tough games, but we're in good shape.
Excellent. Right. Chris, where can people find you on the internets?
Suburbangooners.com is my website, where I talk about absolute nonsense, Arsenal related, every morning.
And I usually wake up at about 8 or 9 a.m. for a tinkle, and I always go on my phone and I retweet your stuff, and then I go back to sleep dreaming of it. I think that's a lovely thing to do. Amanda, have you got any shows coming up on this channel soon? I know you usually have a Friday one.
Yeah, no, I'm missing this week because we're doing a post-game show after Villa. So I've done 2 post-game shows, Dan, and we've won both. So let's go for the hat-trick on Saturday. Can't do a post-game tomorrow night because I'm there. And then the week after, got a special guest on the Thursday night. So, yeah, the Always Arsenal show on the same old Arsenal podcast channel thing, whatever you call it.
We've done 398 post-game shows and lost most of them. It doesn't get any better.
I'm dreading the first one when we've lost because it's so depressing.
No, that's when you get the viewers. That's when you'll be banging on 1,000 viewers, because they only like dismay and sadness and grief. They'll be there sapping up your tears. Cookie, where can people find you and your stuff on the internet?
Just find me here, mate. Every Tuesday, counting down the hours already.
Lovely.
He's so
Right.
What a suave, isn't he?
Oh, don't push the mouse, cat. Right, where are we going to go? Thank you very much. Before we go to Paul Nell for the $10. Craig would thank you if he is here, but he isn't. That's all for tonight. So from everybody here, thank you very much. And everybody in the chat, you've all been delightful. And in the wise words of our glorious leader, Craig, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.
And 3 points tomorrow night.
I can't find the mouse. Oh, there we go. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye.